Hello everyone and welcome to Hamer Reviews. My name is Christopher Hamer and today we're reviewing the Jabra Evolve2 30 wired headset. Now this headset comes in a variety of flavours depending on what your needs are, and the particular one I've got is the stereo, so dual speaker, USB-A version, which means the cable has a USB-A cable on it, surprisingly enough. You can also get this with the USB-C cable, or you can get it as a mono version, which means you get a single ear cup rather than two. And again, that's available with both USB-C and USB-A. To add one minor final complication, you can get a Microsoft Teams certified version, or you can get a UC, so Unified Comms version, which doesn't have the Microsoft Teams certification. There's only two prices though, recommended retail prices by Jabra. It's £95 for the mono version and £108 for the stereo version. It doesn't matter which variant of USB-C or Microsoft Teams you get. So in terms of pricing, starting off at that, this would, to me, feels like it's sort of mid-range. It's not cheap, but it's certainly not among the most expensive headsets you can get, and it packs a decent amount of features despite that cost. This being said, currently, as of May 2022, the price on Amazon ranges for between £60, £65 and £70, depending on whether you want the stereo or mono version and which flavour you want in terms of Microsoft Teams, UC, USB-A and USB-C. So at that price point, I think these are already really good value. In addition to that, you get the Jabra Direct software, which allows you to update the firmware on this headset, which means you could potentially add additional features in the future and continually improve the sound quality and other aspects of the headset. So that's nice as well. These aren't just produced and that's it. These are getting continual support. In fact, I only recently updated them to version 1.7, which is the latest version at the moment, which sort of, potentially help to improve some of the features on this headset, which is great. In terms of packaging, I really want to call this out. I love this packaging. It's almost like a paper bag. It's all recycled paper. They even say they use soy-based ink. I really like it. It gives you a basic diagram of the headset on the back, almost like not quite a quick start guide, but sort of everything you need to know. And I think that's really nice. They do have to include, and I'm guessing this is for regulatory reasons, sort of a warning and declarations thing for the Middle East and Europe. But overall, I love this minimalist packaging. The minimalism continues in terms of included accessories. All you get is this admittedly very nice felt case, which feels actually quite padded and is perfect for taking the headset around with you. The headphones actually fold out like so, which allows you to put them inside the case, connect it, fold it up and take it with you, throw it in a bag. So that's quite nice. The only omission for me, and this would have been something I would have included, is on the USB-A version to include a USB-C adapter. These days, so many people have two devices. Having the choice to use both probably would be quite nice. In terms of the headset itself, so some of the features are dual microphones in the microphone boom to try and provide the best audio quality possible, and a variety of buttons and lights which help you to use this headset to its fullest. But starting off, we should probably discuss, build quality and comfort, because that's pretty much the most important thing on one of these headsets alongside audio quality. So build quality is really good on these. They are surprisingly well made. The headband is actually made out of stainless steel, which is nice, with soft touch plastics used throughout. The ear cups are supremely comfortable. I'm fairly certain they're using memory foam over a sort of leatherette on the side, which is also the same on the back of the headband to provide comfort on the top of your head. And the rest of it is all soft touch plastics. And I think having the exposed stainless steel really gives it a nice premium look as well. The controls on this are really good too. They're nice and ergonomic and easy to understand. So on the front, and it's very clever how they've done this, you have a single button, which is the mute button. So it's really easy to work out which that is. On the top and the back, you have three buttons. So volume down for the bottom, volume up for the top, and the center one is sort of a multi-function button. So for instance, play or pause music. And then on the Microsoft Teams version, you have a button with the Teams logo in the center. On the right ear cup, that is to launch Microsoft Teams or to use some of the Teams-based features. One of the things I didn't mention is on this actual power cable, there's actually a light on it as well. This is true of the USB-C and the USB-A version, and the light lights up when you're muted and it goes red. Really good if you have the cable plugged in somewhere you can see it, then you know you're on mute from an actual visual perspective as well. So that's something to bear in mind. The last thing I should point out is that there are two LEDs on this as well, on the front of the right ear cup and on the back. Now, they actually denote different things depending on what you're doing. Now, on the Microsoft Teams version, and only on the Microsoft Teams version, there's a purple color. If it's solid purple, it tells you are connected to Microsoft Teams. If it briefly flashes, it tells you have a notification in Teams. And if it flashes for 10 seconds, it tells you you've lost connection potentially to the internet, i.e. Teams is no longer connected. In addition to that, and this is the same for the UC and the Microsoft Teams version, if it's red, it shows you're busy, i.e. you're currently on a call and you shouldn't be disturbed. This is particularly useful if you're using them in an office and want to, for instance, stop your colleagues from interrupting or impromptu joining one of your calls. And it also goes green when you are receiving a call, just to make you aware of that. This is actually very good. You can switch those lights off in the Jabra Direct software, but it's nice to have that kind of option to use it. Overall then though, the comfort is very good. The microphone is nicely adjustable depending on how you wear them, and there's a decent amount of height adjustment as well. So, you know, even if you've got an extraordinarily large head, these should fit you absolutely fine. Before I forget, I should probably note that the Teams button can also be used to answer calls and reject them. So, you know, pressing them twice, for instance, will reject the call, once accepting the call, etc. So that's quite nice as well. I think that's the same on the UC version, but I'm not 100% sure, but that's certainly how it functions on here. That takes us on to sound quality. Now, sound quality on these is really good. The 28mm speakers they're using in here provide really nice sound. It's quite warm and it's very sort of full, which is good. And I certainly enjoyed listening to other content on these as well, which is nice because, you know, at this price point, you do want to be able to have a headset that you can use to listen to a corporate video, for instance, or, you know, even just listen to music whilst you're working. I did find that maybe they're slightly echoey in terms of how they sound. I think it's either the software or how they've been sort of engineered. It's not a bad thing though. It's hard to describe. It's almost like they have a little bit of reverb. It does make people's voices sound really good and natural. But yeah, when I was listening to music, I sometimes noticed that. Bit of a weird one, but I wouldn't worry too much. The sound quality of the dual microphones is very good, and these do sound fantastic. I think it gives you a very natural sound. You don't really sound like you're in a call center, which is nice, which can be the case on cheaper headsets. So yeah, I think we should probably jump into a sound test so you can get a better idea of that. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to set my computer up to record sound, like so. And I think this is sort of ideal. The microphone's fairly close to my mouth. And this is the kind of sound that you're going to get if you're using the Jabra Evolve2 30 headset on, say, Microsoft Teams or on Zoom. This is the exact sound that you're going to sound like. So I actually think this is very good. I think it's, yeah, it just sounds pretty natural, to be honest, especially for a sort of enterprise style headset. So if you were to use this to conduct calls, I think you'd sound very professional and look very good. And in this day and age, with more of us working from home or sort of a mixed approach of sort of hybrid working home in the office, this headset's as good at home as it is in the office in a noisy environment. So yeah, to me, this is really good. It's good at just picking up your voice and not picking up too much background noise as well, which I think is something that's really important. One thing I do also want to mention at this point is it has a function called side tone. Now, side tone, I think, is really exciting because what side tone will allow you to do is to feed back your own audio through the microphone into the speakers so you can hear yourself speaking. Because of these memory foam pads sitting over your ears, you actually manage to block out a lot of the noise around you, which is actually very nice and makes it easier to conduct calls, but it can make it sort of feel less natural when you're talking. Now, using the side tone functionality, you can choose the sort of sound level of your own voice and just feed a little bit of that back so you can hear yourself and speak more naturally.
Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you are going to notice I'm wearing a different t-shirt. I'm recording this on a different day, as it turns out. Now, I ran into a minor issue of side tone where I could actually hear like a tone being fed back to me, just like a clear sound, which was really odd, and it turned out was a super rare fault that I found. In fact, Jabra said they hadn't really encountered it before, but it was causing a bit of an issue, so they sent me out a new headset. Now, this wasn't like a cherry-picked headset or anything. It was a retail package. It was all closed up, so they've just grabbed a different one, sent it to me, and this is absolutely perfect. So just a quick note on why it suddenly changes, but the side tone feature is fantastic. As you can tell, it's not changing the audio quality. You can still hear me perfectly, and I'd really suggest you use it. You can actually change the volume of side tone, which is something I didn't, I think, mention before. You can do that in the Jabra app. Make sure you do so you get it to the right level that makes you feel most comfortable. I think I've got it on set on there high, which might be default, but it just gives me enough that I can hear myself really naturally, actually, and just feel quite comfortable talking. And I think it's much better than if I were to be using it without that feature. So definitely something to look out for. And if you run into that issue, which again, it's super rare, so you shouldn't only go found 3 other people on the internet mentioning it. But if you do, I suggest just get in touch with Jabra, because I would assume they're going to just replace your headset if so, because it seems to be a super rare fault. But yeah, that's why I suddenly sort of had a bit of a cut in this video, and it will explain why we now continue talking about the Jabra Direct software.
We're already on the subject of Jabra Direct, so let's have a chat about that. So one of the first things it allows you to do is to update the firmware on this headset, and I did it. The process was quick and easy and very well laid out. So if you get this headset or have it and you're watching this, do make sure you download Jabra Direct to get the latest software. We're on 1.7 at the moment, and you know, there was quite a lot of release notes in terms of what they'd changed and updated, so do keep that in mind. Beyond that, though, you have a graphic equalizer, which will allow you to actually change the response of the speakers, which is really nice. That's not usually something you get the option to do on a headset with the built-in apps. That's really cool. You can choose to activate audio announcements, so it'll guide you through the setup process. It'll also tell you when certain functions are activated or deactivated. You can either switch that on or off, or just have like a tone activate when that happens, so that's quite useful. You also have an audio protection feature. Now, as standard, it's switched on. You can't turn it off, and it's called basic peak stop protection. And the idea there is that it'll stop sudden changes in volume from coming through on your headset and suddenly being really loud when you don't want it to be. For instance, someone, you know, breathing too heavily into their microphone, I assume it'll cut that off. I certainly haven't heard any of that whilst using the headset, so that's quite clever. You can then also choose to activate IntelliTone. The idea there is it can stop your volume from going over a certain level, and you can set the decibel level. And it even has, and I'm presuming this is for regulatory reasons, a Australian standard that you can activate as well, that will ensure that it stays within those sound levels, which I think, again, is really nice that they've been able to do that. You can also activate basic stuff like button tone, switch that on and off, and I've already mentioned being able to turn the LEDs on and off as well, which is nice. You know, you can switch off the busy lights so people can't tell if you're on a call or not. And we've already discussed side tone as well, which you can deactivate and activate there. I did mention in that segment just now that you can change the volume of side tone, and that's between +6 decibels and -9 decibels. Lastly, you can change to adjust the headset sound overall, if you want it more bass heavy or more treble heavy, so that's something to bear in mind. And you can choose the language for the audio announcements, which does make sense when you think about it, and just ensures that you know, you have the correct language for your region. There's also some settings on soft phone there, so which app and so on, but I'm not going to run into those in too much detail, but there's a little bit of a customization there you can do, and you can also get more product information, you know, firmware level and serial number, etc., but that's less interesting. Overall, though, I think the software is extremely easy to use, it's very quick to use, and I'd certainly say you should install it if you have this headset, because it's going to give you more options when using it. Overall, even at the RRP of £108 for this particular headset, I do think they're good value. The sound quality is superb from the microphone, and the speakers sound equally good whether you're on a conference call or listening to other content. I like the high build quality. This certainly doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart anytime soon. And on the USB-C version, you could even plug it into compatible USB-C smartphones and use it on there directly, which is quite nice as well. So you have a lot of options and flexibility. Being able to choose which flavor you want, whether it's MS Teams, whether it's a UC version, you know, one speaker, mono speaker, like that's nice too. There's a lot of flexibility here. And you know, it's clear that Jabra knows what they're doing, and this is a superb headset, especially at the cheaper price, which you can get it for on Amazon at the moment, of that £70, you know, 65, £70 for this kind of headset is pretty impressive. So if you have any questions about the Jabra Evolve 230, please do pop them in the comment section. I'll try and help where I can. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe, as it really does help. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope I see you again next time. Goodbye.